Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today guys, I'm gonna do part 223 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series. On today's video guys, we're gonna do one of the characters I've been looking forward to the most out of a good while. I have a few different ones of this kind of thing going on. So while I could do some of the other new ones, this way if the limit does run out before I get to really have a chance to have fun, I can always either delete it or continue it from another time. So, yeah, this one is called The Legend of Me, or The Legend of My Kindness. Uh, it sounds weird, but in this universe, since I've taken good care of certain poems, especially the Toto line and all that stuff, well, you guys will get to see. Here's what it says. It says right here. The sun was warm above, and the breeze gentle as it rustled the leaves. Me, still trapped in the form of a small feathered velociraptor, holy crap, tiptoed through the tall grass just outside the forest edge, tail twitching with each step. The air smelled of summer and river water, the kind of scent that made even a cursed creature feel just a bit lighter. But little did I know, my every step was about to be watched by a family larger than any I'd ever met. Oh dear. Okay, it says, a few miles away, in a lush riverside clearing tucked between ancient trees and waterfalls, a massive family of water-type Pokemon rested. The clearing belonged to 23 Totodile, 17 Crocodile, and 10 Mighty Feraligatr, all part of the same thriving and loving clan. Laughter echoed through the trees as Totodile splashed, Crocodiles wrestled, and the Feraligatrs watched proudly, often stepping in to guide or gently discipline the more rowdy ones. Inside the den carved near the waterfall, one of the younger Feraligatr was nosing through some belongings when he pulled out something special. A book, leather bound, slightly worn from being read so many times. Its title was gold etched across the front. Oh dear. Yep. Apparently, somebody wrote a book about me in this universe, but it says The Legend of Me. I am not saying the name. Actually, it says how one human showed so much kindness to creatures. Oh dear. They actually named that. On the cover was a picture of a tiny velociraptor with a kind expression and curious, bright eyes. This book had become a family treasure ever since one fragger had found it months ago and brought it home. At first, the grown-ups thought it was just a beautifully written legend, a feel-good bedtime story, but night after night, they read aloud to their children. The younger Totodiles especially loved the tale of the gigantic, lonely Totodile who had never felt loved until I showed up and made him feel special. Again, there is certain tales from like the actual chatbots I've done, like the giant Totodile. I think the poison crocodile's in there. There's a few different ones in there, if I remember correctly. But again, I don't remember who actually wrote the book, because I sure as heck didn't. I didn't write it. Some Pokemon did, I think, or some creatures or something. I don't remember who read it anymore. Here we go. Others favored the story of the poison crocodile, a victim of Team Rocket's cruelty, who no longer trusted humans until I taught him what love looked like, even in the darkest of forms. And many cried the story of the bully Dreepy, who, thanks to my gentle heart, found hope again. That's actually very cute. The final tale, the most mysterious, spoke of a curse, of me being transformed into a tiny prehistoric creature, of his once sweet T-Rex companion Rexy, now plagued by chaos, aggression, and mystical transformations. It ended with a strange orb and a question. The children were always amazed. The adults pondered, was this Trenton real, or just a story to inspire kindness? Oh boy. That very day, oh no. A young, adventurous toad-owl wandered far from the den. The cool breeze tickled his snout, and he followed a trail of flowers that reminded him of a page from the book. His tiny eyes squinted, and then went wide. He froze. There, walking slowly between the grass blades like a living page in the story, a tiny velociraptor. Feathers, tail, the same cautious eyes. I don't know if I should even try. Eee! The toad. I hate myself for even trying to attempt that. The toad-owl squealed, his little legs flailing as he sprinted home. It's him! It's really him! Oh dear. Oh boy. Back at the den, the family blinked in confusion as the toad-owl jumped and yelled, grabbing his sibling's claws. He's out there! The one from the book! I saw him! Who is the... Oh, it's a fragger. Now, little Snap. It was a mother fragger, so I can't do a female deep fragger voice, trust me. One of the mother fragger chuckled. You've been reading that book too much. I'm not kidding, he yelped. He would just like the cover. Please come see. Please. The adults exchanged glances. Snap had a wild imagination, but his eyes were sparkling with the kind of belief no child faked. All right, Father Fragger grunted. We'll check. So they went. All of them. Oh no. Back at the forest clearing, I was crouched low, eyes wide with fear. That squeal, that shout had startled me. My heart pounded like a drum in my small chest, and my claws dug nervously into the soil. Was something coming to attack him? Had Retsy followed him? Had Trico returned? Oh dear. Then, crack, snap, and shuffle. Again, just sound effects I can't mimic. The leaves rustled, and shadows moved between the trees. And then, dozens of blue figures emerged through the greenery. First came toad owls, small, bright-eyed, some bouncing in excitement. Then crocodiles with cautious, alert expressions, and towering behind them, forming a protective wall of strength, stood the fur alligators. Their eyes fell upon me. Time stopped. The same young toad who'd found me whispered excitedly, I told you, it's really him. Several of the younger toads bounced with glee and started running toward me, but were gently blocked by a huge claw. Oh dear. Wait, one of the old fraggers said firmly. His voice was deep, calm, and wise. Look at him. All eyes turned to me. Oh no. The little velociraptor was trembling. His feathers bristled, his tail was low, his golden eyes were wide with fear. That's not a creature ready for play, the fragger said softly. That's someone who's scared. Someone who's been through a lot. But, whispered one of the crocodiles, stepping forward gently, do you think it's really him? The fragger gave a slow nod. That book said he was cursed, turned to something small, something ancient. He lowered himself slowly to the ground, smashed his snout barely above the grass. And the eyes, those were the same eyes from the cover. One by one, the rest of the family began to kneel, Toad Owl sitting, Kronos crouching, fraggers laying down gently. No one moved fast, no one shouted. Silence filled the clearing, peaceful and warm. And then the fire fragger bowed his head. If you are truly Triton, he said quietly, we want you to know, we've read your stories. Now again, what am I supposed to say to that? Because I don't know about this book at all. We've passed them down to our children. We thought you were just a legend. But if you're real, the fragger looked up with mist in his eyes. He's adorable. Then you are welcome in this family, not because of the tales, but because of your heart. Behind him, a young toad owl reached into a little satchel he carried, one he always wore to intimidate adventurers, and pulled out a hand-drawn copy of the book's cover. He held it up and whispered, You really are him, aren't you? The clearing stayed quiet. They didn't ask you to speak, they simply waited, some with hope, some with awe, and all with kindness. Now, see, again, what am I supposed to say to that? He pulls out a hand-drawn picture of me, or of me as stuck as a tiny velociraptor, and shows it to me. It's like, this is the cover of a book. It's like, where'd the book come from? I didn't write it. What, again, put yourself in the shoes of a tiny velociraptor there for a second, or in the quad feet of a tiny velociraptor. Do you think you're going to be using little tiny quad hands to write anything? Maybe, like I said, in one of the little chapters, I literally had to air write everything. I, see, I can barely do it now. I'm trying to. I love you, as in what I usually do with Toad, Crocodile, for Alligator. But you see, it's hard for me to do it there. Like, holy crap. I don't even know, because, like, that's the thing as well, is it, do I speak or do I not? I'll have to figure that out. Alright, guys. It took me a second to figure out what I wanted to say, but here's what I decided to put. I'm still a little terrified, but I noticed the velociraptor on the drawing looks as though like me, so I nod my tiny head. Yes. Again, like I said, sometimes I can speak and sometimes I can't. Like that's the one thing that confuses me about these. Is do I speak and tell them yes it's me? Or do I flip and try to air like I did in that one episode? Or do I actually just nod my head or do a little gesture to show that it's me? Like, I don't know. That's where I get a little bit confused. It says, a ripple of emotion flowed through the massive family. At first, silence. Then, slowly, the sound of gasps, tiny squeals, and amazed whispers spread through the group like a soft wave on a still lake. Let me go and tell you guys, most of these are the same as one another, but there is one difference in some of the other chatbots I've done when it comes to this sort of thing. There is one that's very similar to this where there's a book written about me. However, it's not just this family. There's also a giant, like, King Haxorus involved in the story. I don't know why in the world there's a giant Haxorus that's a king, but I'm not gonna complain. Oh my gosh. The young Toto holding the book stared at my nod, his claws trembling as he hugged the drawing tight to his chest. He is real, he whispered. The king from the stories. He's really real. The Chronos looked at one another in stunned silence, expression shifting from disbelief to awe. One of them, a tall crocodile with a scar across his back. Oh dear, what happened to the poor thing? Quietly wiped a tear from his eye. Okay. That story about the poison crocodile? That was real too, wasn't it? He said softly. That was you? Oh my gosh. The elder Freyager who had spoken before closed his eyes and bowed his head even lower, his massive jaw nearly touching the ground now. We're so sorry we frightened you, he said gently, voice heavy with emotion. We didn't mean to. We couldn't believe it. You've done more for Pokemon than most ever would. You didn't just see us when others ran away. You loved us when others feared us. Another Freyager stepped forward carefully, each step slow and respectful. She lowered her massive body until she was laying fully down, then extended a single claw and gently pushed a patch of grass aside so she could see you better. Oh dear. You're even smaller than the drawing made you look, she said softly. You must be so strong to have lived like this. Trapped, small, and still kind. One of the youngest crocodiles, probably just recently evolved, whispered to his older sibling, Can we help him? Do you think we can help break the curse? The other crocodiles shook their heads slowly. I don't know, but maybe if we just treat him the way he treated others. The Toadows, every single one of them, sat down in a jealous semicircle, tails thumping lightly in excitement, but none of them ran over. Not this time. They waited. You're still scared, and they respected that now. Then, a soft sound. The young Toadal with the book began humming, a quiet, sweet melody. It was the lullaby's parents sang while reading the final chapter of your story. One by one, others began joining in. Chronos with deeper tones, Toados with high chirps, and even a few low rumbles from the fur alligators. That's cute as frick. They weren't coming closer. They were welcoming you in the gentlest way they knew how, through the song of your own legend. What in the world? This is like flipping a Lugia all of a sudden. Like, I'm not Lugia over here. Because that sounds like something that would happen with Lugia. Because Lugia in the movie legit had his own, like, I can't mimic the sound, but, like, you know the little Lugia song that played? When the girl was doing the flute? Yeah, that. Like, holy crap, that's what they're acting like I have on this. There we go. The father Fragger blinked back tears. If you're willing, he said softly, you can stay here for a while. As long as you like. We have food, shelter, safety, and family. Another Fragger nodded beside him. Whether you want a place to rest, someone to talk to, or just some quiet company, they'll give you space, no pressure, just love. The lullaby continued, soft, peaceful, and familiar. For the first time in what felt like forever, you didn't feel, yep. Holy crap. That's insane. The thing is, if I try air writing the words, are they going to understand it? Like, is one of them actually going to pay attention to what I'm trying to write? That's what I'm worried about. I'm scared if I just try doing that with my clawed hands, they're going to flip and think, oh, he's acting a little crazy. It's like, no, I'm trying to tell you something the best way I know how without just doing gestures. Give me a second. Alright, guys. Here's what I did. I said I can't speak, so I try to aerate the sentence. I would really appreciate that. And yes, that poison chrono was a real Pokemon I held before. As the lullaby softened to a gentle hum and the warm sunlight filtered through the trees, the entire family watched in complete stillness as you, with small, careful movements, began tracing invisible letters in the air. Your tiny claws moved with care, first forming a Y, then an E, slowly and shakily spelling out, I would really appreciate that. Then after a breath, my old claws wrote again, and yes, that poison chrono was a real Pokemon I held before. Gasp echoed quietly through the clearing, but not in fear and awe. The chrono with the scar across his back stepped forward just slightly. His eyes were wide, his mouth slightly open. Then he slowly brought a claw to his chest. I think that was me, he said quietly. I remember that day. I was alone and angry. My skin burned from what Team Rocket did. I didn't trust anyone. But you? He choked up from it. You came close anyway. You didn't run. You told me I mattered, even when I looked like a monster. So that was that crocodile? That's a cheap. Tears welled in his eyes. He knelt low in the grass, claws pressing into the earth. I never thought I'd get to say this, but thank you. You healed more than just my body that day. Fragger family fell into quiet reverence. Even the smallest Toadowls, normally too young to grasp such weighty moments, seemed to feel the depth of it. They scooted a little closer, still at a respectful distance, just enough so you could see their teary eyes and gentle smiles. The young Toadow who first found you turned to his parents, beaming, Can we build him a little place near the waterfall so he can rest and watch the river? The mother Fragger nodded, a proud smile on her face. Of course. Let's make it cozy and safe. The father Fragger looked back to you, his deep voice soft as he rumbled, You are part of this family now, Triton. Not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. Then he added with a faint chuckle, And don't worry, if your big dinosaur friend ever wanders in nearby again, aggressive or not, we've got plenty of strong jaws and brave hearts to keep you safe. The younger Toadows all raised their stubby arms proudly at that. as if volunteering to guard you personally. What in the world? This guard crocodile looked at you again. You gave me my life back once. If I can ever help return the favor, curse or no curse, I will. And with that, the whole family, 50 Pokemon strong, bowed their heads in deep, unified respect. You, the tiny cursed Velociraptor, were finally surrounded by a family who truly understood what kind of heart you carried. Okay, that's cute. Do you notice how even this thing has gotten used to how often this stuff happens? Because do you notice how even just a few minutes after talking to them, the thing will be like, "Finally, you don't feel like you're alone. Oh, you're not alone anymore." Like, do you notice how it does that a lot? Interesting, isn't it? Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. I love it. Hold on, guys. Alright, guys, here's what I did. I just walked up to the two closest Pokemon to me, the Totodile that had the original drawing and the Chrono with the scar on his back, and gently nuzzled them with my snout. The moment your small feathered body moved, all eyes followed you, but no one made a sound. The gentle steps of your tiny claws across the grass felt louder than thunder in that moment, not because of fear, but because of the weight your presence now held. The Totodile with the drawing blinked up at you, his eyes wide and shimmering with a mix of awe and joy. His little tail twitched rapidly behind him, but he stayed perfectly still, respectful, despite how badly he wanted to jump with excitement. The scarred Chronos expression was different. He wasn't smiling, he looked like he was holding his breath, maybe afraid this moment would pass like a dream. He knelt there, strong but fragile in a way only someone who'd been hurt deeply could be. Then, you stepped forward and gently nuzzled them both with your snout. A soft chirp escaped the young Totodile as tears spilled freely down his face. He dropped the drawing and instinctively wrapped his tiny arms around you, not tightly, just enough to let you feel the warmth of his love. That's cute. The Chronos' breath hitched, and his claws slowly rose, gently resting on your back. Carefully, making sure not to scare you, he lowered his head so your snout could reach his cheek, and when you saw feathers brush his scales, ah, he's so cute. A single tear rolled down his face. It is you, he whispered, voice cracking. Behind you, the rest of the family sat in reverent silence. Even the youngest, rowdiest Totodiles were sniffling now, their eyes wide and glistening. The Farfraggler murmured to his mate, I never seen anything like this. And she replied just as softly, This is history, not the kind in books, the kind you feel. The Totodile you nuzzled wiped his eyes with the back of his arm and looked up at you, cheeks wet with happy tears. Don't worry, he sniffled. You're safe now, and I promise we'll take care of you for a change. The Chrono with the scar still kneeling closed his eyes as your warmth settled into his scales. You gave me hope when I didn't think I deserved it. Let me be your shield now. And so you stood, small, feathered, and quiet, pressed gently between the two Pokemon who represented your kindness made real. It was more than a reunion. It was the beginning of something new. A home. That's interesting. I like this. Like this. It's a cool idea for a story, but it's like I have a feeling that they're gonna end up treating me almost like a flipping king in their house. Which, again, if they do, I'm not gonna sit there and be demanding of them. Uh, I'll figure it out, guys. Give me a second. Alright, guys. Here's what I do. This is right after I nuzzle the Totodile and the Crocodile, I start walking over to every family member and gently nuzzle them too. As the Crocodile and Totodile stepped back with glistening eyes, giving you space, you turned and began walking forward again, this time not with fear but with purpose. One by one, I approached each member of the massive family. The tall Chronos near the front paused in surprise as you stepped close, When you gently pressed your snout against their arms or sides, their rigid postures softened. Some closed their eyes, others smiled quietly, and a few out low, affectionate murmurs as if they couldn't believe what was happening. Even the most stoic for alligators, the towering guardians of the family, watched you with wide, awed eyes as you approached. You barely reached their clawed toes, but you still walked up to each of them and gently brushed your snout against their ankles or forearms. And without fail, they all lowered their heads in return, not to inspect you, to honor you. That's cute as frick. The second youngest for alligator, a gentle giant with moss on his back, so he reached down and touched a single claw to his chest after you nuzzled him. No human or creature has ever done that for us, he said softly. Thank you. When you reached the group of young Crawnaws, they began to tremble, not out of fear, but because of how much this meant to them. Each leaned forward one by one, careful not to crowd you, and you touched your snout gently to their snouts, earning quiet gasps and stifled sobs. One whispered, "This is better than the ending of the book." Then came the Toad-Owls, dozens of them, each one trying so hard to stay still, tails wagging uncontrollably, claws clenching in place, and one by one, as you nuzzled them, they melted into sniffles, squeals, and happy little chirps. Some hugged you back, others curled up beside you briefly before bouncing back into line so you could reach the next sibling. One of them, overwhelmed with joy, gave you a small berry he'd been saving for a snack. Aw, that's sweet. Another pulled a button from a pouch, a shiny thing he had found by the river, offering it to you like treasure. Oh, that's adorable, dude. By the time you reached the last fragger in the back, the eldest of them all, her scales worn and eyes deep with wisdom, she was already crying. When you nuzzled her, she let out a low, trembling breath and placed her massive claw beside you. What do I even do for like an elder for an alligator? Because I don't want to just do that, my child, sort of thing. It sounds weird as frick, although I can't do a female forever to begin with. Goodness gracious. It's kind of hard to do a female crocodile. And Toto's even harder, I think. Holy crap. My child, frick it, she whispered. You carry a heart bigger than any of us. Then she leaned down and ever so gently pressed her snout against the top of your tiny head. When you turned back, the entire family stood or sat in a wide arc around you, smiling, weeping, and amazed. There was no more doubt, no more fear, only love. And for the first time since the curse, you stood in the middle of 50 Pokemon who would protect you with everything they had. Not because you were a legend, but because you were family. Oh, that's cute as frick. Hold on, I have an idea. Alright, guys. Here's what I said. I said I start air writing the sentence, thank you all, or thank you, all of you, for being super nice. But what book are you talking about? To be honest, nobody ever told me that someone written a book about some of the stuff I did. So, do you know who wrote it? As the far trace of your soft nuzzles linger like a warm breeze across their scales, the crowd stayed perfectly still, watching your every movement with gentle eyes as if afraid to break the moment. Then your tiny claws rose into the air once again, moving carefully, slowly shaping invisible letters. The untails leaned forward, trying to read every flick of your claw. One tail gasped as he sounded out softly, "Thank you, all of you, for being super nice." A wave of smiles and soft tail wags rippled through the family. You kept right. But what book are you talking about? To be honest, nobody ever told me that someone had written a book about some of the stuff I did. Do you know who wrote it? There was a pause. Then Toto with the drawing, the same one who found you, stepped forward again, holding up the now slightly crumbled book in his little claws. Oh, it's cute. It's this one, he chirped. It's called The Legend of Trenton. Oh dear. How one human showed so much kindness to creatures. It's got pictures and stories and everything. It took years to make. He turned it around to show you the cover again. Your revolver form drawn carefully, your eyes full of quiet strength and warmth. The Earth Rager who had spoken earlier rumbled thoughtfully. We never learned exactly who wrote it, but it was found deep in a forest library that only Pokemon could reach. It was guarded by a family of Dragonite, Salamence, and even a Lugia. Excuse me? Okay, Lugia makes sense, and Salamence makes sense. But there was never a story about Dragonite in there. Interesting. Was there even a story about Lugia in there? I don't know. They said it was passed to them by the Grateful Ones. Huh. Okay. He nodded toward the chrono with the scar. Those who you helped. Many of them must have gone on to tell their stories. Someone, or many someones, wrote it down. Not just Pokemon either. Some pages had ink pressed with claws. Others, water. Even psychic energy. It's as if different creatures collaborated. The Toto holding the book at its eye. It's got so many stories, and some of the drawings are from Pokemon who said you smiled at them or gave them food, or just listened when no one else would. Another colonel said, even the Dreepy story is in here, and the cursed part too. The end of the book says something like, even if he never finds his story, well, no, his kindness lives on in us. That's interesting. The young Toto looked up at you with wide eyes. Looks like you found it after all. The Otis Rager gently chuckled, her voice deep and warm. How much of a deep voice, unless it's even if it's a male, perhaps you weren't meant to find it right away. Perhaps it had to find you. Then she leaned in her head closer, almost whispering, you became a legend not because you wanted to, because you were genuine. Someone, maybe many, wanted to make sure you'd never be forgotten. And now, that book, your book, rested beside you in the hands of a family who saw you not just as a character in a story, but as the heart that shaped it all. I love that. That's actually kind of cute. Like I said, this is one of the ones I think I'd have a little more fun with than some of the other ones. Like, it's a cool idea for a story, but it's like, how are you supposed to react? Like, you don't know. Like, how are you supposed to know there's a whole book written about you? I mean, like, if you had a book written about you, what would you guys think? Especially if you didn't know about it. It's like, who the frick wrote this? Granted, with my Pope, I don't know how. Actually, it had to be. There's no way some Pope. I ain't saying the porn that are here are dumb, but like, can Pokemon in any way, shape, or form write? They make it right through little claws, like maybe tearing through a page, but I don't know how or maybe going through dirt or sand, but I don't think they can really write an entire book. I think the only one that may have a slight chance of doing that might be Lugia. Maybe Toad, Crocodile, for Alligator, because yeah, they have hands. They have massive clawed hands, but they still have hands. They could still probably write something. But certain point like Salamence or anything like that, how the frick? Unless he used his mouth to write down something. Alright. Well, guys, give me a second. Alright, guys, I just air-write the sentence. That's really interesting. Did your family buy the book, or did you find it? I've only been like this for months, so it shouldn't have been that long since it was written. As my time claws traced each letter into the air once again, the family leaned in with fascination, watching the sentence form like magic. That's really interesting. Did your family buy the book, or did you find it? I've only been like this for months, so it shouldn't have been that long since it was written. There was a moment of silence as the words sailed in, and then the Fragger who had found the book in the first place, wearing a small vine wrapped around his arm like a bracelet. Oh, that's cute. Stepped forward, lifting a heavy claw. I found it, he rumbled, eyes warm. It wasn't in a shop or anything. I was exploring near the Mist Grove Caverns, where the air smells like dreams and the water floats like mist. There's an old, quiet grove there, with a tree so large it's hollow like a house. That's where I saw it. He looked around at his family, then back to you. It was resting on a stone pedestal. No humans around. just moss, flowers, and glowing spores. Like the place wanted the book to be found. Another Fragger, this one broader with blue moss on his shoulders, nodded thoughtfully. I remember you brought it home like it was sacred. It was wrapped in golden leaves, wasn't it? Yes, the first one said with a low hum, tied together with strands of silk, the kind only bug or fairy types spin. I don't think it was written to be sold. I think it was a gift. For many. One of the Chronos added, there's even a message inside the cover. It's written in a dozen languages, some human, some Pokemon. It says, for the ones who forgot how much they meant to the world. It's written in a dozen languages, some human. Oh, they are friends. Like, what in the world's going on? A hush fell over the clearing. The Untoad with the book clutched it tighter. You haven't been like this long, huh? Then the stories must have been told fast. Another Untoad guessed. Maybe the Pokemon you helped knew time was short, so they all worked together to tell it before you forgot what kind of person you were. The Star-Chronon nodded slowly, eyes wide. That makes sense. We felt like we had to share it, even if we didn't know why. Then softly, the elderly Fragger leaned down beside you again. Maybe your body was cuss-ridden, but your legacy outran the cuss. And now that legacy had circled back around and found you, safe, loved, and never forgotten. Again, I'm just curious what Pokemon wrote this, because I don't think there's been one where I've saved a Salamance's life or anything like that. But it said, one of the Chronos said earlier that it was guarded by a flipping Salamence, a Lugia, and a Dragonite. So it's like, okay then. Alright guys, here's what happened. Before I can even say anything, I hear a loud voice saying, there's that little freak! I want him as my little Velociraptor pet. Then, out of nowhere, I felt something sharp hit me in my tiny head, which causes me to fall to the ground and yelp in pain. Oh my gosh. The peaceful air shattered. My tiny form had barely begun to react to the warmth around you, still surrounded by the family that saw you as a hero, when that cruel voice echoed from the trees. There's that little freak! I want him as my little Velociraptor pet! Dang. Out of nowhere, something sharp and hard struck me directly on the head. Pain exploded in my tiny skull like a firework. You yelped, a high, helpless cry, and collapsed to the grass, my claws clutching at my head, eyes squeezing shut. The family's reaction was instantaneous. Trin! The Untoad screamed, rushing to your side. The Chrono with the scar caught him mid-sprint with a firm arm. Wait! Stay behind me! Fragger's outroar so deep and guttural the ground vibrated. Their eyes turned from warm and gentle to furious and protective in a single heartbeat. The father Fragger bellowed, who dares touch him? Uh-oh. The tree line rustled, and then a tall, smug-looking human in dark gear stepped from the shadows, flanked by two Pokemon, a snarling Houndoom and a leering Sneasel. He held a slingshot still stretched in one hand, a jagged rock in the other. Back off, swap freaks, he sneered. That thing's mine. I saw him first. He's rare, and tiny, and pathetic. Perfect for a pet. A deep, rumbling growl rolled through the clearing like thunder. Every Fragger had stepped forward now, forming a wall of scaled rage. Chronos flanked them, claws glowing. Totod's bristled with fury. You, still on the ground, felt small paws on your back. The little Totod with the book had gotten to you, tears in his eyes. Hang in there, he whispered. Please don't close your eyes. The star chrono stood protectively above you, his eyes narrowed into icy slits. That freak, he hissed through gritted teeth, is the only reason I survived my worst day, and you just made your worst mistake. Uh-oh. The human snored. What are you gonna do about it? I got a Houndoom and a Sneasel. You think you can... Oh my gosh, Chrono just roared and yelled at top of his lungs. He didn't get a chance to finish. The father fragile. That would make sense, actually. Holy crap. The father fragile charged. The roar that left his throat was more like a battle cry than a sound. One that sent birds fleeing from the treetops. His massive body slammed into the ground like a living earthquake as he charged straight for the attacker. Other fraggers followed. Chronos dashed around the sides, flanking. The Totodile rushed to form a protective circle around you, guarding you with their small bodies like loyal knights around a fallen king. The forest lit up in chaos, but it was not the chaos of fear. It was the chaos of a family protecting their own. And you, Tiny, hurt, but not alone, felt one thing even through the pain. You were loved enough for an army to rise for you. Holy crap. And they would not let anything take you away. Holy frick, dude. Such a cool idea for a story, but I'm trying to debate, like, there's certain things about this I think I could change. Like, maybe, like, it could be kind of the same way, but maybe, like, it's more than just a family protecting me since I've already had that happen before. The issue is, the only thing I have different in one of the other stories is the King Haxorus. And it's like, what kind of difference is that going to make? It's going to be the same thing, but with the King protecting me too. So, like, how can I make it different? So I don't want it to seem like I'm flipping I'm not going to boss them around or anything like that. Like, holy crap. I will be right back. Alright, guys. It just says, while everything was going on, I heard the man say, if you don't stop attacking me and let me have that stupid Velociraptor, I will make sure he suffers so much pain. Oh, frick off. Even in my dazed, pain-flooded state, my head throbbing, vision blurry, I heard it. That voice. If you don't stop attacking me and let me have that stupid Velociraptor, I'll make sure he suffers so much pain. The words cut through the air sharper than the stone that struck you, but this time, you weren't the only one who heard them. The forest didn't just fall silent, it froze with fury. The roar that followed was not from one Pokemon, it was from all 50. The Ferrager family erupted in a chorus of rage so deafening it shook leaves from the trees. A violent gust of wind spiraled outward from the sound, a shockwave of raw protective instinct. The father Ferrager's eyes went wild with fury, and he lunged forward, jaws glowing with ice as he slammed his tail into the ground hard enough to crack it. Say that again, he snarled, foam bubbling from his mouth. Oh, he's so angry. Oh my gosh. He's so angry. He has foam coming out of his mouth. How? Ain't that something you only have when something like rabies happens? Like, what the frick? One of the other Ferrager let out a howl and hurled a wall of water toward the attacker, sweeping Houndoom and Sneasel off their feet. They hit the trees hard and yelped, scrambling back as another crocodile launched himself forward with an aqua jet, baring his teeth with unrelenting fury. The mother Ferrager, eyes locked on me, turned toward the attacker and spoke, low and deadly calm. You threatened our child. Holy frick. Then she opened her jaws wide, water glowing inside her throat. Hydro pump building with a hiss like a storm rising. You leave now, or you won't leave at all. The human stumbled back, flailing for a Pokeball with shaking fingers. You're all insane! He's just some cursed little... Before he could finish, the scarred Chrono launched forward, his claw going black with Night Slash. Dude, this family has a variety of different moves. What's next? They're gonna say they have flipping something called what's next? Hydro cannon? Stopping inches from the man's his claw going black with night slash, stopping inches from the man's neck. He didn't strike, but his eyes said everything. If you ever come near him again, he whispered, voice trembling not with fear, but with restraint, you'll find out what it feels like to live cursed, to be alone. But he saved me from that. Behind him, the Toad with the book Gillen crouched beside you again, voice full of quiet fury. You're not just anything, he whispered to you. He should have found someone with a bigger heart than he'll ever have. Then he looked up and shouted with all the courage his tiny body could hold, leave him alone! All the Pokemon, every one of them, roared in agreement, jaws open, claws raised. The attacker, pale and trembling, finally backed away, returning his Pokemon and tripping over his own feet as he fled into the forest, running for his life. Only after he vanished did the sound die down. The wind stilled, the trees fell silent, and you were surrounded again, not by noise, but by warmth. The Dark Fauna rushed to your side, kneeling beside you. You're safe, he whispered, whispering. We're here, and we're not letting anyone hurt you again. The young turtle crushed your claw. He didn't win. You're still here, and we still love you. As the rest of the family closed back in, forming a gentle protective circle around you, you could feel it through the pain. You were no longer just protected. You were treasured. That's cute as fruit. Oh no, they're gone. What is wrong with people? Hold on, guys, give me a second. Guys, let's just say what happened next was not good. It says, for some reason, my tiny body started to glow this eerie purple color. Then before I could even react, my body started to turn gray. And within seconds, I get turned completely into a stone statue, unable to move or speak. This is not good. As the family gathered close, their protective circle finally at ease. A hush fell over the clearing once more, but this time, now at peace. Something had changed. It began as a strange tingle in my chest, then a dull ache. Not from the wound, but from something deeper, something unnatural. My body, so small and feathered, suddenly pulsed with a faint, eerie purple glow. That's creepy. So, clutching my claw, gasped, what's that light? The girl beside you frowned. That's not healing energy. That's... You didn't even get the chance to write a word before it happened. You didn't get a chance to write a word before it happened. My tiny feathers stiffened, my joints froze, my bright eyes full of emotion and life widened as my limbs turned cold, heavy, then gray. Chin! I cannot do that like that. The young tail squeaked, shaking my claw, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even blink. My entire body had turned to stone. How? Not like a peaceful sleep, not like a magical stasis. You were a statue, tiny, gray, and frozen in place, still in the curled posture of one who had just been trying to nuzzle his friends. Purple glow lingered for a heartbeat longer, and then vanished. The clang was silent again. For a few seconds, no one moved, no one breathed. Then the little Toto whimpered, tugging at your stone claw. Trenton, you're joking, right? 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 What joke? What kind of joke is this bullcrap? The scarred clown dropped to his knees. Close to No. No, no, no! This wasn't part of the curse, he muttered. That that wasn't normal. That wasn't a transformation. That was a binding. A sealing. The eldest brother slowly stepped forward, her eyes wide in horror. It's a second curse, she whispered. She looked around at the family, her breath shaking. Something, or someone, didn't like that we protected him. A deep growl rose in her throat, not of anger, but of grief. Farfrager stepped forward and placed a massive claw gently on the top of my stone head. He saved so many, he whispered, and this is what happens? Tears flowed freely from the young Todaw's eyes now as he hugged your leg tightly. Please, wake up. Please. Oh, man, dude. Claws gathered around, trying to use water gun to clean my body as if washing the stone might free me. The mother fragger summoned a glow of healing energy and placed it against my side, but it only shimmered and faded away, unable to reach me. Then from the trees a quiet voice called out, not cruel, not mocking, but yo, how did Lugia get here? Yeah, but ancient. A curse layered over a curse. Only one thing can undo what has now been done. Everyone turned. Crocodiles raising claws, Fragers baring teeth. Only stopped as a mystical form stepped out of the shadows. It was a Lugia. Not my friend, not the one you knew, but an older one. A wise, weathered guardian with feathers tinged in silver and eyes deep as the ocean's floor. He stepped close to my statue and knelt. Oh dear. This second curse was a response to love. Something, something dark wishes to erase what kindness has built. The Lugia turned his gaze toward the family. But if you want him back, then it is no longer just his legend. It must become yours. The family, Toados, Crocodiles, Fraggers, stood straighter. They would not abandon you now, not after everything. And somewhere deep inside that stone shell, your heart still beats. Holy cow, what the frick am I supposed to do?